General scary experiences thread. It can be supernatural or not. Innawoods stories are always great. B17. Walking down a dirt road with a friend at night. Dark as shit, not really many stars out, no moon, either. Flipping a coin to decide when to turn. Think we see things running through the woods, think it's a deer or our eyes playing tricks on us. End up going straight all the way to a point where the road goes straight or left. Straight isn't an option because nothing there and no short way back to friend's house. See something cross the road from the left to right off in the direction the road turns left. We decide to head back because it's spoopy. Almost back to my friend's house when I hear a heavy padded footstep behind me. Sounded like a really large dog. Turn around and see what looks like the rake on all fours. Yell and get my friend to look back and start running. He thinks the bastard stood up on its hind legs. Nope the hell out of there as hard as we can. Get back inside of his house, try to figure out what the hell we just saw. Come up with nothing and agree to tell ourselves it was a bear. Find out a month later that it was a starving greyhound. My experience. I'm 20 now, but 5 years ago my brothers and I had the scariest frigging thing happen to us. We rode around our farm late at night on our quad bikes to close the cattle gates and lock them for the night. Our mum trusts us to do it at night, but still it's a large property, so going alone was never a good idea cause at night on our farm you can get lost very quickly. We got to near our dam and suddenly the power to our quad bike's lights flicked and the engines died. We moved them close to each other so I could open up my hood and see what happened and try to fix it. Suddenly Noah looked over my shoulder and went pale. Marcus as well just kept looking behind me with a scared look on his face. Just to compare, Marcus and Noah are the strongest out of the triplets and what they were looking at were freaking them out. I turned around and on the ground 20 meters or so was a creature eating part of a cow's body. It looked up with green glowing eyes, then to my horror Noah threw a stone at it and the thing shrieked at us and rose high up on its back legs. We screamed, then jumped back on our quad bikes and just frigging legged it. I being a dumbass looked back, but it wasn't running after us, so we just drove faster. We got home and locked every door, then told our mum what happened. What we saw was called a rack. Alright, /x/, I've wanted to tell to you guys for some time now, but I never really got around to doing it. This is something that happened to me and my best friend a couple of years ago. You can believe it or not, I really don't give a flying hell. But, as cliched as this sounds, this shit still haunts me to this frigging day. I'm going to green text, it's a bit of a long one, so I don't know if it's going to fit in one post. Be me. 15 years old. It's the tail end of summer, right before school started back up. I'll tell you a little bit about where I'm from first. August in the Maritimes has a certain kind of drier heat when compared to the damp mugginess of June and July, at least until hurricane season starts up. I was hanging out with my best amigo in the whole world. The AC was busted or something like that, and the house was getting so hot we couldn't even retreat to the cold sanctuary of her basement. So instead we decided to cool off outside. 15-year-old logic. Now, we live in a small town in rural Canada of all places, so there's not really that much to do outside except walk around town, get high, or walk around town while high. Unfortunately for me, my best friend was waiting to turn 18 before they smoked pot, leaving us to walk around my small town in a boring, sober state. Because it's such a small town, we know all the streets, paths, train tracks and parks. My story, if that's what I'm going to call it, takes place in one of the parks. Yeah, this definitely didn't fit in one post. Here is some history for you guys. If you live in Canada, you've certainly heard of Sobeys. No, this isn't a Sobeys conspiracy theory, even though I'm sure they illegally bought that limey Jamie Oliver, and are now making him their little bitch or something. They first started up in my town in Nova Scotia a long-ass time ago, so they've built a lot of parks and donate small amounts of money every year to keep them running. One of the parks we went to occasionally was the Sobeys Soccer Complex, made up of 2 little baseball diamonds, an indoor rink on top of a hill, an abandoned little skate park, a woods trail, a smaller soccer field and a larger soccer field. It sounds like a lot, but if you were to take a look at the place, all you would see is 2 old run-down baseball diamonds, 2 big fields each with its own set of rusty goal posts, a concrete safety hazard sinking into a marshy area, and some big building on a hill with its own separate road and parking lot. The baseball season was finished and the soccer hadn't begun yet, so other than a couple jogging on the trail and 2 or 3 middle schoolers at the death trap of a skate park, we had the entire place to ourselves. We spent the afternoon distracting ourselves from the heat and just messing around, clinging to the chain link fence on the baseball diamonds, climbing the creaky bleachers and even running up the skate ramps. It was immature and juvenile fun, but fun nonetheless. I remember the sun beginning to set, when we were lying on the front steps of what I think was a storage building of sorts for the netting on the goal posts and the paint that goes on the field. Pick related, it's the back of the big building. I can't believe I remember all of this, it feels like it was last week. Anyways, we were carrying on and generally goofing around, badly singing the song Don't Stop Believing with funny voices, making references to movies we thought were funny at the time, and just generally talking about teenage shit like grades, ways to survive hypothetical zombie apocalypse scenarios, and cute boys/girls. The sun was almost fully set, leaving that one brilliant stripe of orange across the horizon. Everyone else had already gone, but before we left we were going to do one last loop around the trail. We were walking along and making the same chit-chat as before, but this time we were discussing her childhood friend Kyle, who visited the previous week from BC. She mentioned that they were at the parking lot up on the hill by the rink, walking Ruby, her big black husky, and they thought they could see an animal. At first I didn't really make that big a deal about it. Like I said, it's somewhat rural here, animals, even big black bears, show up in town all the time. I told her that it was probably something like a coyote, or a stray dog, and she just went along with it and we continued on our trail. Before we left I did notice something. There's still usually sounds this time of the evening, a bird chirping here or there as they settle down for the night, or a particularly loud car on one of the roads close to the park. But it was just quiet, like nothing, not even the hum of the crickets that were constantly chirping in the evenings. Pick also related, it says Valley Wood, which is technically right, since if you keep going it'll take you up to the heights, where a bunch of rich assholes live, but it's the trail by the fields. So the sun had finally set, when we were halfway around the trail. That's where we were when we first started hearing the first noises since we walked on the trail. These sounds were far away, I'm talking like so far away you could barely hear them, but continuously getting louder. This was freaking us right out. I mean, it's dark outside. And we're surrounded by trees on this trail and we hear these animal sounds. Shit is scary. So we frigging power walk back, and end up near the big building, now empty, and this is right beside one of the fields, and this is where we first started seeing shit, and by shit I mean this reflective white thing or face, or, I don't even know, but it was reflective, and shiny like an animal's eyes, when you take a picture of it. And I'm ranting like crazy right now, but I want to describe this to you guys. It was oval and reflective, and whatever it was attached to was low to the ground, and from what I could see, staring right at us. Another thing about this thing, was that unless at least one of us was looking at it, it would move away. Even if you only looked away for a second, or even just blinked, gone. Over a few foot. Or sometimes it looked like 20 feet. Eventually, after 3 or 4 minutes, we're getting scared and it disappears, so at this point we just took off, back to the soccer fields where we chill out by the bleachers. So now we spend the next half an hour just joking around and laughing, saying it was probably just a plastic bag, calling each other pussies, and making accusations of the other being scared, even though we were both obviously a little shaken up. Things go back to normal, and we're chilling on the bleachers, when Jane starts to notice a thin and low fog rolling in, like pick-related. How cliched, right? Fog isn't uncommon in the evenings. We're right near the coastline and the hot air mixing with the nighttime cool air does shit. Regardless, this was some too spooky shit. I'm not going to bother with green text anymore. We look back into the soccer field, and sure enough, amongst the mist is our friend from earlier, hunched up black mass, low to the ground, and shiny face illuminated by, I don't frigging know. Back to the same routine, moving at the speed of I don't frigging know, but always looking, always staring right at us. I'm getting pissed off, and I think it might be some asshole kids messing with us, or a piece of reflective garbage, and I'm feeling stupid for getting scared, so I want to move closer and get a better look at it. I'm moving forward looking at it, and Jane is getting mad at me, telling me to stop messing around because she's scared and I'm acting like an idiot, but I need to get a better look. I'm walking closer and closer. Now actually almost to the middle of the biggest soccer field, Jane behind me, warningly saying my name, and pleading me to stop and go back home. I blink and it's moved to the far edge of the field by the goal posts. I'm an impulsive little shit, so I start cupping my hands around my mouth and yelling at it. I turn around to look at Jane, and by the look on her face I know I really shouldn't have done that, because I turn back around and squint my eyes trying to see, but it never left this time. It just stood up. As tall, if not taller than the net, I'm talking like 8 feet, and here. All the fricking noises from before that I mentioned before, the yips I confused for coyotes, were back, and this massive thing was just standing back there staring at us. I think I finally froze up, all the macho bravado wiped away by the overwhelming feeling of terror, because the next thing I know Jane must have grabbed me and ran, because the next thing I know I was running to the nearest houses, the fastest I've ever ran in my entire life. Like seriously, you will never ever again see a little fat girl run as fast as I did that night. We got to the safety of the street, and went back to her place. This was all 2 years ago. I'm still best friends with Jane, although we haven't been back there since that night. But, I'm leaving to move to the city this year, and we think we're going to go back there, before September. It's almost then, and I'm terrified to go back. It never hurt us, and it kept its distance, but the fear I felt that night went beyond terror. It was this horrible gut feeling, and it was just so bad. I never want to ever feel that ever again. This wasn't some stupid Slender Man or Goat Man role play bullshit. I don't frigging know what it was, but all I can say is as much as I wish it were a weird mutual hallucination, it frigging happened. I just really wanted to get this off my chest and tell someone, and if any of you actually did read this, thanks. And wish me luck for 2 weeks from now when I go back to that place. This is one of the goalposts, not the one it was near, but the opposite one, just for an idea of the height. Again, thanks Anons. Some backstory. One of my best friends as a kid, and still friends today, had a house on an Indian burial ground. No frigging joke. They had occurrences all the time, and spending the night was always spooky. His dad went artifact hunting a lot and actually found one of the graves of a high-ranking member, but I digress. Be 12 years old. Spending summer day at friend's house. We'll call him Court. Walking around his property and exploring the woods. Dense as hell and really tropical. Walking trails for a couple of hours talking about bullshit and the Indian stuff. Hear a loud ass thump. Both stop. Hear it again. Court looks downright spooked. I'm pretty chill, think it's construction. Court says let's go back. He starts running. Chase him, confused as hell. Thumps getting louder and more frequent. One thump was so loud I felt it in my chest. Thumps stop. Complete silence. No birds, no bugs, silence. I hear a scream that sounds like a young girl. Start running. See Court hiding in a natural trench. We lay down for a few minutes. Hear a huge vibrating noise. Like a loud deep mosquito. It gets closer. Closer, and closer. Sounds almost over us. The sound gets quieter and stop. We run back to his house and act like it didn't happen. That night loud thumping and buzzing outside. Didn't sleep at all. I've got a lot more stories of the house/property. I've got one that happened last year, actually. This is something that happened 3 days ago. Be riding in car with sister and her boyfriend on the highway. Around 45-minute drive, bored as hell. Stare out the window. We pass by a long railroad track. Catch a glimpse of someone walking. Couldn't see their face, only legs. They were heading towards the long strip of grass by the tracks. As our car inches up and comes to a stop at a red light, I was able to get better view of that person. Except I didn't, because they were gone. Nowhere to hide unless they sanity their way ahead the 60 miles per hour speed limit. Whatever, I must be seeing things. We drive a few feet ahead. Something else catches my eye. I see a metal cross by the tracks, surrounded by flowers. Wasn't as much scary as it was interesting. Hope that person rests in peace, whether or not my eyes played tricks on me. B18. Friends and I on our way to go camping in a woods. Never been at this certain spot. Load up car and get going. I decide to get some sleep on the way, Wake up and we're there. Set up tents etc. Fast forward to nightfall. Decide to tell scary stories around the campfire. One of my friends tells us about a local legend of some deer skull creature. It has a human male torso and arms, with a deer skull for a head and a snake tail below its waist. Don't remember the exact story, something about a girl named Lofty. We decide to call it a night and sleep. Can't sleep for some reason. Get out of tent to pee. See the goddamn deer creature standing right where our fire was, its back to me. Piss myself. I suddenly wake up, back in the car. I dreamed the entire frigging thing. Setting up the tents, the scary stories, the creature. It was all just a dream. Weirded the hell out. Get to campsite. It's the same site from my dream. I freaked out and asked my friend, the one who told the story, if he knew about the legend, and he didn't know what I was talking about. The rest of the trip went fine, nothing abnormal. B15. At my grand's house because my parents were having a fight over my dad's excessive drinking. Grand's house is far from the small mountain town I live in, near the Pennsylvania-New York border. It was an old dairy farmhouse, until the family committed a mass suicide. We get to her house at like 11 to 12 o'clock at night. I say good night to my grandparents and head up to bed. Get up to take dump at the break of day. Hear a loud thump come from the closet of the bathroom. Its sound is sort of rhythmic like a drum or heartbeat. Finish up, and walk over to the door, the thump getting louder as I get closer. I open the door and the smell of rotting flesh hits me, and a swarm of flies come rushing out. I don't remember fainting, but I woke up at 9:30 on the tile floor. That's one of the stories I had at the house. I'll post more if there's an interest. Since the incident at my grand's, my life turned pretty shitty. My dad in one of his drunken benders killed my mom, and himself while I was at my friend's house, because I had a fight with my mom about some bullshit. I think it was school stuff. The last thing I said to her was, "I hate you." If any /x/files wanted to know how shitty a kid I was at 15. I moved to my grand's for obvious reasons, and I was boarding it up in the attic of the dairy farm. Around 3 months had passed since I moved into the attic. Nothing weird had happened, until I was woken up in the night to a loud thumping in the closet of the bathroom. Not falling for that shit again. Try to go back to sleep. The thump go louder and louder to the point of sounding like cannons firing, and then just stopped. Not the most interesting story, but is not the end. Them and get better. Here is one that still scares my friend today. But then he is easily scared. 16. Hanging out with friend, mid-November. Dark by 6 p.m. We all split up to head home, ask best mate if he wants to stay at my house. He agrees. We decide to stop at his house first to pick up games and a controller. Walking through park to get to his house. Trees surround park. Head for a piss against a tree. Hear a groaning not far from the tree. Guy lying on all fours under a small piece of tarpaulin. Skin's gray, looks like blue cheese, veins very visible. Looks like blood around him. Groaning and getting up slowly. Head over to my friend. You see that? Friend nopes the hell out and bolts. I chase after him. Catch up to him at his door. Hang around in his house for a few minutes. Get our stuff and leave. Guys disappeared. Quickly walk up the road to my house. That was 6 years ago and we still talk about it. Another one, but this is more of a amazing coincidence. Garage next to my old primary school. Used to have a big guard dog. Between school and garage is a footpath and a small wooded area. Friend and I heading to my house one night. Point to wooded area. They say a beast lives in there. Possibly a werewolf. Friend creeps out. Shut up, Anon. They say it feasts on men. It may be watching us right now. You can hear its howls echo through the night. Guard dog howls. Friend nopes the hell out and runs. I chase after him laughing and scream, "They're coming to get you, Barbara." Eventually catch up with him. Be 8-year-old me. Out in my granddad's backyard with little sister. On the swings. Garage to the side of swings, relevant. While swinging, look in garage window. There's a woman inside. She's dressed in Victorian era clothing. Holy mother of fug.png. Bolt into house shouting to granddad. He says that my father sees her too. Dad sits down with me and tells his story. He was playing Mortal Kombat, hell yeah, with my aunt. He had moved out before grandparents moved into this house. Goes to get drink from fridge. She's standing there smiling. He bolts. My dad and I have seen her multiple times since then. She still scares the shit out of me. Be 9 or 10 years old. Playing outside. It's getting dark, but parents haven't called me in yet, so screw it. I'm just running laps around the property. Get to the outer edges of the property, near the woods. Hear what sounds like an old man/zombie moan out in the trees. Nope the hell back home, tell parents. Dad goes out there with his gun, doesn't find anything. I don't know if I was just hearing shit or there was really something out there, but it took a while for me to be comfortable being outside at night after that. One time I had a friend who was easily scared. Be 16. Friday 13th. Hanging at John's place. An apartment on a very calm part of town. Only 3 families live there. His mother was out of town. Explains to John that me and cousins have a tradition to watch spooky movies on Friday 13th. John is okay with it and so we go out to get some movies. John wants to watch some shitty zombie movie. No John, why John? John explains he gets spooked too easily. I'm okay with that, but if I will have to watch some zombie shit then he will have to let me pick one I want. Pick The Orphanage. Back into John's place, watched Orphanage first. Movie finishes. I joke saying we should play that game they play on the movie and see what happens. John screams, "Are you kidding?" John starts the zombie one. Knocking noise starts. I think John didn't hear it, so ignore. Notice John getting nervous. Dude, stop. This isn't funny, okay? I deny and say it's the neighbor upstairs. Neighbors upstairs are also out of town. Noise stops. 5 minutes later starts again. Anon, stop it now. Knocking gets louder and louder, then stops. 30 minutes after, the doorbell rings. John, it's freaking out. It was something like 10 p.m. Tells John to chill, and as the good friend I am, I check the door. No one there. Oh shit. JPG. Tell John it was the guy from downstairs. He would freak out even more if I told him the truth. Guy from downstairs. Couldn't come up with a good story, so just tell him the truth. John says that it was a bad idea watching that movie. It invited bad spirits into his home and now he would be forever hunted, etc. Don't know what to say, so just go back to movie. We finish the zombie movie and go play games. The knocking came back 2 or 3 times. Tried to come up with some explanation to John, otherwise he wouldn't let me sleep. All I know is that he never watched ghost movies ever again, and nothing actually scary actually happened that night. Be 6-year-old me. Be camping. Get in tent. Fall asleep. Literally a nightmare about Satan. He looks like a bird. Tells me to kill myself or some other shit. Wake up, covered in piss. It's around 2:15 a.m. Hear owl screeching. A faint laughter under the piercing noise. Fall asleep again. Distorted white noise and red mist. Wake up, 7 a.m. Okay, I've been meaning to tell /x/ this for a while, but I just haven't been bothered. And yes, I'm typing as I go, so screw you, be patient. About a month ago my family, and their partners, mine included, went on a houseboat trip. We live in South Australia, so we thought a trip up the Murray River would be nice. Not much happened for the first 2 nights. I found some nests/shelters in the bush, drank and had a good time. The 3rd day/night is when shit got real. We had crossed over into Victoria and into some reservation or whatever. My mum, 2 sisters, girlfriend and I were on the top deck of the boat talking about random shit and drinking. After a while the others decided to head inside. I thought I may as well grab another beer while I was up there. As I was about to head downstairs, I heard what sounded like a young girl scream from across the other side of the river. It spooked me, but I just thought it might have been a fox or something. After a few minutes inside, my girlfriend decided it'd be a good idea to go for a walk, seeing as we were fairly secluded from society and it was nice and peaceful. We ended up going about 1 kilometer inland. We stopped when we came across a fox's den. What I found weird was a perfectly good den had been abandoned by its previous owners. Nevertheless, we pressed on. We made it to a dried up creek. Which is when we smelled a disgusting stench of what I assumed was dead rabbit, besides there being a lack of rabbit diggings. It was putrid, but growing up on a farm, it was sort of familiar. Anyway, I asked my GF if she smelled it too and she said she could. However, within moments of saying that, the smell disappeared. I got a little unnerved and decided we should head back, in case there were feral abos nearby or something. As we started heading back to the river, the smell returned, accompanied by the sound of, what sounded like, padded feet. I made sure my GF was with me the whole time. I told her where to go. She doesn't have a very good sense of direction, and we ended up coming out a few hundred meters away from the houseboat. Also, we came across more of those nests, however they looked like they had been torn apart by an angry kangaroo or emu. We got back to the boat a little spooked, but nothing too serious. Fast forward to that night, we were in bed and cuddling. It was about 3 am-ish when I started hearing what sounded like a really messed up dog. Almost like one that was dying, it was barking, which was some sort of relief, until I heard another and another. They were all in different locations, mind you. And they were all getting closer. I thought maybe dingoes, maybe stray dogs. Then I heard one that was real close to the boat, however it was coming from where my girlfriend and I came back from our walk, where we broke out of the scrub. Then the barks or calls or whatever changed to a more frantic sound. The other ones started getting closer. They'd call out every few seconds, I assume to get a reading on where the others were. I started getting 3 spooked, 5 me, and so was my girlfriend. A few minutes later the barking just stopped, but the last call was really close. Then something big and heavy climbed onto the houseboat. I felt the side lower into the water, if you know what I mean. Then slow and soft footsteps circled the outside decking of the boat, and something climbed the stairs and walked on the top deck. By this time I had messaged my parents, who were in the next room, but screwed if I was making any noise. At around 5 to 5:30 all the noises had gone, and whatever was on the boat had left. But it didn't end there. The next day we started heading back down the river to the place where we started. We ended up stopping to do some fishing and stayed the night where we first stayed. That evening, however, there was howling coming from upriver, where we had recently been. Only a tiny bit left. My brother-in-laws decided to howl back. They were drunk, and whatever sort of dog it was, responded. Again, when we were in bed at around 12 a.m., I heard a commotion in the hallway and got up to see. My sister and dad had gotten up and were searching the boat cause my sister had heard footsteps around her room, outside part, but my parents thought it was just her imagination. Dr. Too spooky for me, creatures living in the Australian bush. 10-year-old me. School camp, near a graveyard. In the same room with Big Brother and a classmate of his. 11 o'clock we decide it's scary stuff time. Trying to summon ghosts. 5 to 6 unsuccessful attempts. We decide to get next to the windows for better reception. On the 2 or 3rd attempt, my brother's classmate flew off the room and crashed on the wall. Panic and screams. Teachers run inside to see what's happening. The guy was in a state of shock and couldn't breathe. Teachers carried him outside the camp building, and he recovered. We got scolded for doing stupid stuff. Achievement unlocked, summoned a ghost by the age of 10. Suck it, wannabe mages. But I was really freaked out at that time. One day me and a group of friends decided to skip school and just dick around, so we decided to go to this park nearby. There was some people just walking around, nothing really out of the ordinary, so we decided to head to this trail that led deeper in the woods. Nothing really strange happened in the opening. I started to freak my friends out saying that I saw someone in the woods. Of course niggas got spooked and I was just laughing my ass off. 10 minutes in and the frigging trail seemed to tighter or smaller and everyone noticed that. Shit got weird when we got to this clearing and there was this stone pillar right in the middle of it. 10 feet to the left there was this run-down house. No door, massive hole in the wall and a part of the ceiling was missing. We stopped there for a while and I swear, everyone felt this thump on the ground. Best way to describe it was if someone fell from the sky and just made noise. We all got freaked out and went deeper on the trail, which was a bad call. I'll share the rest if anyone's interested. So as we walked deeper into the trail, there was some kind of altar. It had a couple animal skulls next to it and a weird slimy goo in a pot on the middle of the altar. Needless to say, everyone got really frigging scared, but we decided to see if there was an end to the trail. I started getting this feeling I'm being watched and there's something behind me, really crazy shit, and my friends were getting jumpy as well, getting scared by any kind of noise. We've made to the end after 30 minutes or so, and that weird sensation was gone after a while. Everything strange that we came across seemed unrelated but still was really frigging scary. B12. Living with father. Some dick comes to live with us because I guess his father saved my father's life. The dick and I get in a fight. We've always had a bizarre mask hanging on the wall. I make his nose bleed and his blood gets on the mask and it falls off the wall. Tentacle-like spears come out of the mask. Both us do not say a word to father. I start studying the mask. Find nothing about it except that it's used to belong to my passed away mother. 12 years later. B24. Dickhead had been poisoning my father. Find out. Call the police. The police come. Dickhead has the mask. Anon, can I tell you something? Yes. Time to go beyond human capabilities. Dickhead charges towards me with a knife and father gets in the way. Father's blood gets on mask. Shiny light comes from mask. Police shoo dickhead. Shall I continue? Walking down the street at night. Get jumped by some idiots. One of them throws their frigging hat at my arm. I shared this story on a thread not long ago, but I figure I'll share again. All sorts of freaky shit happens out here. Few months ago, had just moved in with my boyfriend out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere on a small farm area. Be around 11 o'clock p.m.ish, just got home from work, first time alone in the house. Enjoying the downtime, chilling in the chair large enough to fit an African country in it. Watching some late-night television when a loud wham hits against the outside wall right next to the window I was sitting at. Shit got serious as the sound of a chicken screaming chorused with the loud thumping against the wall. Called boyfriend to tell him to come home and protect my pansy ass. He tells me to calm down and that he'll be home in half an hour, time it takes to get from his place to the city where we work. Sound of screaming chicken eventually stops, as does the thumping, outside. Boyfriend arrives home and we look outside by the window. Huge blood smear against the wall, along with small bits of chicken. Don't worry, stuff like this happens all the time. Coyotes, brah. Screw salts. Nothing particularly paranormal, but I have got a few shitty stories like this. Posted this like a year or two ago. Be camping with dad and cousin at Lake Morena, SoCal. Spoopy stuff happened to him all the time there. Orbs in pics, lady in white, etc. Campy fun all day, fishing and shit. Bedtime. Cousin and I share tent. Dad's tent is a couple feet away. At the normal campground, but not a lot of people around. Have iPod shuffle, it was 05. I had the crap one with the button, looked like a flash drive, on. Can't sleep in quiet, I'm from the city nigga. Cousin passed out, dad snoring away. Starting to drift off. Suddenly so cold. Scoot closer to cousin. iPod dies. What is this shit? Your battery was just full. So frigging cold. It was April or May and chilly, but it suddenly got freezing. Couldn't stop shaking. Footsteps, maybe one of the other campers is going to pee. Footsteps aren't on concrete path, maybe try are lost. Footsteps circle tent closely, stop near my head. Nope. Temp drops another 10 degrees. Hear whispers. Hear cousin breathing and dad snoring. Shrink down in sleeping bag like a bitch. Cousin and I had zipped ours together for warmth. Breathing coming from space between me and cousin. God, why is she asleep? This cunt is going to sleep right through my murder. Too scared to move and wake her up. Feel bed move like something just laid between us. Breathing continues. Pray to frog god to let me live. Stay frozen still all night listening to the breathing. Morning come, iPod turns on suddenly, scares the shit out of me, was on piss before it turned off. Leave that day, iPod lasts the hour or two home, and still isn't dead that night, so it wasn't a battery issue. Be around 12 or 13. Wake up at around 3:30 a.m. for some reason. Look at foot of bed and see a tall dark shadowed figure petting my cat. K. Couldn't exactly see any details because it was too dark, but it was shaped like a person. Figure it's my dad checking in on me, or my brother woke up and passed by to pet the cat or whatever. Too early for this shit, so back to sleep I go. Wake up, get ready for school, ask if anyone was in my room last night. No one was. Nope. Cat never really slept in my bed at night again until now, which is like 10 years after the fact. Be 7 to 8 years old. Playing outside at night. I see something in the dark, I must get close to see it. It suddenly calls my name. I get closer to see what's that. See some imp-like creature with a big smile and a devil-looking tail. Tells me to come closer. Shit myself. JPEG. Run in fear to my parents and tell them to come. Get back at that place, it was gone. MFW. I think about what happened. Another one. B14. Hanging out with some friends around an abandoned dentist office. We talk about why did they bankrupt. Someone committed suicide in the office. Lel awful services. Kek. Suddenly I and 3 of my friends feel some cold trembling feeling in the same time. Run away and never hang out there. Weird shit. B18. Hang around with my friend. Decide to walk. Let's go to the graveyard. Night. On our way there we see someone from very far away, pretty tall, looks beheaded, wearing something shredded. Is he walking towards us or just standing there? WTF. Can't properly see. Gets closer. Omgwai. Close enough to see it has no head. Run away in tears like little pussies. Looks back. It's still running. OMG. Run faster. Look back again. It's gone. Later that week we found out that someone was murdered there. MFW. Nope. Forest. B11. Hang out with my friend around a forest. We hear someone telling us, sacrifice. Ask ourselves if we both heard that. Yes. Nobody ways around. Empty forest. Run away and decide to never go there anymore. Was that a ghost? I don't know how old I was. Lay in bed. Rolls over. I can see the hall. I see something floating. It wore a white dress and pale grey skin. Stands up. Looks again. Nothing. B16. House in the middle of nowhere. B house sitting. Hear some rustling outside, behind the house. Being 16 and stupid, I decided to check it out. Go to the back of the house. A goddamn lower half of human, with black pants and pale feet, running from a bush to a tree, and it straight up running on the bark vertically like a ninja. Shit my pants, want to run but my leg won't move, trembling in fear. Then a black and white cat jumped down from the tree. Being a catfuck, I could suddenly move and stupidly trying to pet him. It didn't ran and purring, so I took him and already forgot what I just saw. I always wanted a cat. My face when he is now already 4 years with me now. My face when I probably just took in a demon in cat form. My face when nothing scary ever happened anymore after that. My face when he sometimes disappeared for a night and come back in the morning. My face when he jumped down from the same tree after I called him for dinner. I'm somewhere around 6 to 8. My mother had just dropped me off at my diabetic grandfather's for the rest of the weekend. Due to the house being new, I start exploring. I go upstairs to find 2 rooms. My grandfather's bedroom, and a locked door. I decide to peek under the door. 2 gorilla feet just standing there. Beautiful pink love room behind the feet. I poke the feet with my little fingers. I hear a scream, but the feet don't move. I run back downstairs to my grandfather. He tells me a monster owns that room. He doesn't seem too affected by the scream. I stay up the following night to peek under the door again. The gorilla now lays on the bed, but I can only see its feet hanging from the bed. I cry myself to sleep worried. Nothing really strange here but spooked. 17. Go take a walk with LEGF in a wood near house. Not a big forest but interesting, become some caves and relief. Follow a trail. We approached a part of the trail where there is 2 big trees on each side. Looks like a gate. When in front of the gate, a very warm wind blow to us. It was on November. The hell.png. We look at the ground. There is a rabbit head with blood around. Nope. Go back to house. The fun fact is I lived in this town for about 20 years and the wood is named the Wood of Hell. Live in apartment when much younger. My dad, mom, brother, and me all sleep in same room. Wake up one night, see my brother, same age 3 to 6 years old, messing around and leaves the bedroom. Follow him out, it's not my brother, but a red hooded figure. It holds its scaly hands out to me, can't see face. Dad comes out, the hell you doin'? Figure disappears, said I followed my brother out. Your brother's still sleeping. I'm not bullshitting, probably just a dream, but I remember telling other family members and they all called bullshit. Didn't scare me at all though at the time. Be in a woods, WI, can't remember specifically where we were. I have a concussion from an accident so things are blendy. There with GF and our friends, 5 of us total. Taylor is the only one tenting alone, James and Ashley were the other couple. We all are set up, screwed around all day, made pudgy pies, drank time for sleep. GF and I can't sleep, we decided doing it in the woods is a good idea. It was quiet, like dead-ass silent, I remember, because we were trying to be sneaky. Head maybe 30 feet from camp so we don't get lost but not to wake others. Making out half naked against a tree, undoing her pants when I heard a twig snap. Taylor perving on us, always has and jokes about trying to threesome with us, I never gave a shit because he's harmless. Taylor, you rat bastard, I hear you. Leave. Voice was quiet, wasn't entirely sure if it was him or maybe one of the others trying to spook us. What the hell ever, and I thought we were pansies. You're not scaring us. Growling, unnaturally deep growling like rocks grinding together. That isn't a people noise. GF and I run back to camp, I tell her to sit in the tent and grab my knife. I wake everyone else up, they all were in their tents still. Tell them what happened, they think I'm joking. I tell them I am piss frigging serious, damn near yelling. They tell me to chill, probably some conservative douche or hillbilly with a dog trying to spook us gays out of their woods. GF comes out of tent, says she could hear twigs snapping again. We all grab our lights and walk perimeter yelling about a perv with a dog not being scary and that we're armed. Hear a big booming laugh, like it was on a speaker. Lol nope.pdf. We all go back to our tents, one person keeping watch at all times with James's 9mm. Have weird nightmare, can't remember anything besides waking up to my GF saying I was screaming. I had bruises on my legs and arm. Never gone camping again, never brought it up. Sorry, I just posted a thread of my own about this, but I really want to know if anyone knows what this might have been. In car with mom, she's driving, at 5 a.m. About 10 minutes away from home finally, passing through the main street of a little town on the way, roads are empty, every store is closed. Pass a parking lot set off from the road a bit with blinking ambulances and helicopter parked there. Must have been a big accident nearby, hope everyone's okay. Keep going down the road, see where the accident actually is. Bunch of cop cars and stuff, but can't see whatever cars were/are there. Road is blocked off so we turn around the way we came to take another way home. About 500 feet down the road from where it's cordoned off, see a guy on the sidewalk dressed in all black with his hood up. I'm surprised to see anyone there on this street at all this time of night. Lel, so spoopy. Wait. What the hell? My eyes travel to where this guy's face should be and it's just a flat black space. As we get closer, I'm still trying to figure out if he really has no face, and shitting bricks. It's just completely blank, no reflection from our headlights or the streetlights, not the whites of his eyes. Nothing. Feel like he's staring at me as we're passing him. Like seriously, I'm just getting an off feeling that's stopping me from writing this off as just a trick of the light or something. Just get the feeling that this is not a person. We drive by, can see him turn around to look at our car. We're a bit further away now, but I still don't see any of his features, just the motion of his head turning. Feeling really uneasy the whole way home. Have a genetic disorder that causes me to grow thick body hair. Renting a room from a kindly old diabetic man. Don't leave my room very often because I'm scared of being just get. One day standing in front of my door mirror mirroring my gains. All of a sudden a finger comes in through the door and pokes my feet. Let out a scream, too scared to move. Rest of the night feel like someone is watching me, hear crying. Not a great story, but it's the best I've got. Be me. 16. Working at a summer camp in San Bernardino Mountains. Me and a couple friends decide to walk down the back part of the camp at midnight, part of the highway that nobody uses past 10 p.m. Walking and laughing at all the stupid campers from the past week. Moon is out, so we can see pretty well, but it's not great past about 50 feet. Continue walking, reach last campsite and end of camp. Screw it, let's keep walking. Walk about 1/2 mile past our camp. We see a figure come out of the trees. Takes 4 steps to cross a 2-lane highway. We all noped the hell out and bolted back to the camp. The 4 of us never told anyone for fear of getting fired. Bit of backstory: where I lived when I was 10, there is this road that went up around a mountain, was a dirt road and heavily damaged from water, it'd be impossible to drive on. Decide to go see what was on the road with brothers, even though parents told us not to, but who cares, I wanted to explore. Road had thick bushlands on one side, pretty steep cliff on the other. Walk along the road, climbing around the giant potholes, nothing really that interesting. Brother spots a small ladder on the cliff side, go check it out. Sort of rusted, still usable though, tied to a tree with thick wire. Leads down to a small cave sort of thing. Look around, not much there, but one thing we notice was strange. See a snake skin, don't think much of it until we look at it, bastard had 2 heads. Decide we should probably not stay there, snake could be nearby. Climb back up ladder, standing around talking, deciding where to go next. Hear a squeal from the trees on the other side, couldn't see shit through it, was too dense. Hear branches snapping and more squealing, freak the hell out, all run back down the road. Probably just some wild pig, but those things get pretty big here, so didn't want to stay anyway. But I was 10, so that scared the shit out of me. I have a short one. I literally have no idea if it's paranormal or not, but certainly gave me the creeps. B17. Getting dropped off by boyfriend, he's pulling out of the driveway. I get inside, I realize there's 2 people home, my dad and my brother. Only my mom isn't home. Make dinner in the kitchen while the 2 other people are upstairs, completely away from the front door. In mid-making of my food, the front door opened halfway. I figured it was my mom or something, so I said hi, no response. She must be getting the dog out of the back seat. I go upstairs to my room, I can clearly see the driveway/road from my room's window. About 5 minutes after the door opened, I finally see my mother drive into the driveway. Who was door? 2 months ago. Be visiting parents in Southern Oregon. House innawoods on 4 acres. Neighbors close but can't see them. Out late at night on property with dad. Live in city too crazy to see all the stars. Have 870 because cougar/bear country. Talk about people seeing Sasquatch in area. Decide to tree knock for the lulz. Dad hits tree with branch. Echoes super loud. 5 seconds of silence. Hear a knock back from across the road. Shit pants. Rack 870. All dogs within a mile start going apeshit. Be me, around 6 months ago. Have to ask boss a question about a day she scheduled me to work when I asked off on it plenty of time in advance, finals. See her in hallway but she's making a beeline for the shitter. She reaches it before I can get to her, even after I call her name. OK.jpg. Enter door to the right to get to the break room. See the exact same woman, my boss, standing at the Coke machine W/a drink. MFW. Stare for a second. Can I help you, Anon? Sounds like a doppelganger to me. It wasn't really for spooky ate me, but I didn't go near that damn bathroom for the rest of the day. Lived in Europe. We did this many times at many places. This one is still spooky when I think about it. Weekend. Friend and I tell our parents we're spending the night at a friend's house. Take bus to town 30 minutes away where some school friends live. Planning to pull an all-nighter and explore some shit that's been intriguing us for a month. Going to wander all night. There's an old factory that the police are always parked in front of. If you ever get close to it they get out of their cars and tell you to leave. We go there first. There are no police at 1 in the morning. Front door is barricaded but there's a decommissioned freight elevator shaft of the side where the elevator had been removed. We climb down one factory in the basement with our flashlights in our mouths. The basement has approximately 6 inches of water covering the floor. It's pitch black and I personally had a feeling there was someone watching. We move our lights around and the place is a frigging mess. We go upstairs and everything is generally the kind of creepy you'd expect. Paint peeling floor, warped dust everywhere. Exploring rooms. Same shit. Then we get to this one room. Completely out of place. Well kept with a table and chair, nothing else. Clean tile floors. We close the door behind us and look around. Keeping whispering that this is so frigging weird. A few minutes later we go to leave. On the door is a calendar. Nondescript and the only thing in the room aside from the table for 6. Every day has been marked until that very day with one day circled a few days out. Cannot process this at all. Friend asks why the police are guarding it and we get spooked hard. Room was in the center of the factory so we hurry to the stairs, through the basement and climb out fast. As we exit something splashes hard in the basement. Most likely from us moving around but creepy. Go to GF's house. Don't share story. Give her kisses 3. Sorry if my English sucks. It felt pretty evil. Be high school. Me and 2 buds hang at my place for the night. We spend the whole night in my room. House has always been spooky. Around 3 a.m. when it's pitch dark, I start to feel something. 2 buds on the floor of my room start to move around. I wake them up. Tell them I feel something evil in the room. One bud sits up and says he thinks there is a man in the room but we can't see him. It feels like something is just staring at us. We freak the hell out. Whole night it feels like we're being watched. Next morning we wake up to some home-cooked breakfast courtesy of Mom. Did you boys have fun downstairs last night? What are you talking about, Ma? We were up in my room the entire night. But anon I saw someone sitting downstairs next to the fireplace with glasses. I figured it was one of you. Holy effing shit. There have always been entities floating around my house. A psychic once told me that spirits connect themselves to me. I dunno if I believe it, but I've seen some shit. Was in a dark room in my house. It smells musty in here, has a strange foulness in the air. I hear an explosion. The sound of debris hitting water. I look down to make sure I'm not bleeding. But when I look down, I see that I'm out of toilet paper. How will I wipe my diarrhea ass? I'm 23 now. Summer after 6th grade great-grandmother died. Whole family held a celebration of her life at our camp, which she and her husband built. Anyway, up there with all my aunts and uncles, parents, and grandparents, uncles are doing repairs on cabin and drinking, aunts are gabbing and drinking. My brother, my cousins, and I, who are all either my age or 3 years younger, decide to go fart around in the woods nearby. It's a lightly civilized area, many other camps nearby. Walk up the street to a dirt path that goes through the woods and eventually comes out on the main road. Halfway up the path we come to a small glade/clearing. It's full of ceramic plates, all over the ground, boxes full of them. We start smashing the plates against trees and shit. My cousin, who is 3 months older than me, spots a big old Victorian-style house just off in the distance. Been going up here my whole life, never saw this house before, never saw it again, and it was located near camp my grandmother owned. Then sold not too long before this. We go over and check it out. The place is vacant, boarded up, the windows are covered and there's junk all over the backyard. We start to check out all the junk. There is a huge old antique car in the middle of the yard. One of my younger cousins looks underneath it and finds a huge blue tarp with what he describes as a horrible, foul stench coming from it and man-sized lumps at the center. Right as he sees this, his older brother, who first noticed the house, yells and points to a previously covered window right on the first floor at the back of the house, probably 10 feet from us. We all look and see bright yellow eyes staring at us. Collectively lose our shit, full out sprint all the way back to our cabin. All the adults must have thought we were playing a game or something. No one said anything about us being gone and we never told any of them about it. We only talk about it with each other every now and then. Well, this happened to me 3 nights ago. Go outside at 10 to have a cigarette and a bowl. Walking to my barn to grab my stuff. Hear cracking in the woods. Catch a glimpse of what looks to be a man. He's staring at me. Hear a cough as he turns around into the woods. Creeped out as I walk into the barn. Shut the door and turn on lights. Pack bowl while smoking a cigarette. Immediately after sparking the bowl, hear a loud single knock on the back of the garage. Think nothing of it. 2 knocks. Trying to ignore fear as I light my bowl. 3 knocks. Am I that high? Power through the rest of the bowl. Grab flashlight and walk outside. Shine light at the back of the barn. Scrawny middle-aged man in white t-shirt and jeans staring back at me. Smiles. Run the hell out of there. Open door to my house. Hear low evil like laugh. Turn around. Nobody's there. Walk inside. Hear a knock on the door. 2 knocks. 3 knocks. I was 16 and went to Boy Scout camp. One day, after robotics, it started raining like crazy. An adult leader came to pick us up because the class was far from our campsite. While we were driving away, I turn around and see a guy come out from behind a giant rock, running toward our truck. After 30-something seconds of him running behind our truck, he stops and then runs off to the side into the woods. Worst I've ever had is the night terrors, hallucinations, and nightmares that haunted me throughout my life. Could think of a few scary situations, although those generally involve a sense of dread and inability to move due to sleep paralysis, but I do have a funny one. Have a nightmare. Wake up, go out of my room to the workout room right next to my room. It is an entire gym, with rows of ellipticals. See my brown-haired sister. I have one sister and she is blonde, but since I was still in a dream I didn't see any problems with this. Shit starts getting creepy, long-ass staircases, getting lost in my house, rooms that don't exist. Wake up with some sleep paralysis. See a small dark figure, size of a mid-sized dog, about 20 feet from my bed. Never moves, only stares at me. Whenever I blink it appears a little closer. Wake up after it appears on my chest. Wake up in another nightmare. This shit went on like 6 frigging levels deep, and included everything from floods, to some sort of end of the world scenario with all the buildings broken down and abandoned, to a nuclear explosion, to some sort of Japanese horror movie-esque scenario involving a haunted tool shed. The Ring involved a well, mine involved a tool shed. By the end of it I was lucid dreaming, since I was clearly in a dream and not giving a shit because I just wanted to wake up. When I finally woke up for, what I sure hope is, real, I continued assuming that reality for half the day, just thinking any minute now I will run into geometry that makes no sense or a person who I know for a fact doesn't exist. Seriously, screw recursive dreams. Here is one I've told before a few times and it is completely true. Brother says he is tormented by spirits. I doubt him, but whatever. Says the spirits are drawing him to the top of this mountain and wants me to go with him. It's night and the mountain has a giant pentagram on it, pick related. I go with him. Paranormal shit begins to happen. Ghosts and shit chasing us. Big black blob chasing us. Someone screaming bloody murder in the woods, sounds inhuman like a witch or something. Run back to car won't start, it always starts WTF. Try to call my mom, no signal WTF. Now here is the punchline. We get back home, my mom says she tried to call us and my voice said hello and she asked where are you? And I said I can't hear you, so she repeated, and the voice said I can't hear you. She repeated one last time, and the voice said goodbye. We never got that call, but her call logs show it went to the correct number, but our call logs were empty. Roanoke, VA is a hot spot for people who practice witchcraft, Satanism, Wicca, etc., because they believe the giant pentagram on the mountain gives the place power or something. The second, perhaps more freaky experience on that mountain that I had was this. It's night, I'm hiking down off the mountain with 5 members of my family. See 8-foot-tall freaky white giant humanoid creature running through the woods at 20 miles per hour. Without making any noise, not running into trees, defying all human capabilities. I yell, "What the hell is that?" They all see it and we begin running down the trail. Suddenly there are 2 of them, one on each side of the trail, closing in on us. We are nearing the vehicle when the creatures begin teleporting all over the place around us from one side of the trail to the other. We reach the van and get in at record speeds, with the creatures only 20 feet behind us, and speed off. I think they were interdimensional because they say that pentagram star thing makes the mountain a portal or whatever. That mountain is haunted as shit. If you're ever in the area and want to experience paranormal shit, just go up there to the woods at night. If you stay the entire night, I'd say some freaky shit is guaranteed. I used to work in private security for various companies. It was long and usually pretty dull, but I made some pretty good cash at the time. However, I still remember some freaky shit that happened to me one night when I was supposed to be guarding this company that specialized in biological research for medicinal purposes. Leave house at 23:45 to drive to building I'm supposed to monitor. Been working this job for about 3 months. Usually just sit in building security office and read magazines. Stereotype.jpg. Arrive at building in uniform. I relieve the guard on watch before mine, name of Howard. Don't know him very well, seems like a decent guy. Make a bit of small talk while we change shifts. Something seems a little odd, but I can't quite place it. Howard leaves and I take up my watch. Guarding an empty hallway for 8 hours every night. Most interesting job in the world. Snore. Decide to see if anybody left any food in the break room. Smell frigging disgusting stench. Decide I can't just let it go, and search room for source. Check everywhere, finally look in cupboard under sink. MFW, I find a frigging body under the sink. Looks like the mofo was skinned. Screw this shit. Nope. I'm just a goddamn security guard, this is way above my pay grade. Call the frigging police. When they get there, I'm detained for suspicion of doing this. Body is eventually identified. It's effing Howard. What? Cops already heard my testimony about having frigging talked to the man earlier. Many searches are conducted. Later learn Howard has apparently gone missing, as have his wife and 2 kids. I left my job at the corporation ASAP. Whether it was the result of some messed up experiment from inside the building escaping or just a coincidence, I don't want to know. I try not to think about whatever the hell it was I talked to in the hallway when I was switching shifts, but I feel terrified whenever I think of how close I came to getting killed without even knowing it. Alright, I'll bite. Not in a woods, but after work at around 2 in the morning. At the time my parents were the only folks with a car at my residence. Had to wake them up in the wee hours of the morning to get home. Sometimes it wasn't easy. Go to a phone at work. Try the numbers. This number is not available. What.jpg? Ask to borrow a co-worker's phone. Dial mom's number, get same deal. Yes, I made sure it was the right number. Dial again. Heavy breathing on the other line. Can you see me? Voice I don't recognize. Shitting my pants right now. Out in the parking lot, whirling around to see if I see anything, anywhere. Can't see shit. I have a piece of your hair. Hang the hell up, run inside, hysterical. Call mom's number from the office phone, mother picks up and comes to get me. Also call police. They don't find anything and the call is traced back to her phone? Freaked me the hell out. I thought about quitting over it. I'll post a bunch from my childhood. Be about 7 or 8. Live on a medium-sized ranch with expansive woods that go on for miles. Dad is a bipolar asshole but he's nice for once and we go exploring in the woods. Bro comes with. I wander off and they don't seem to notice, they were looking at the burnt out car, Dad telling my bro about it and shit. Wander off to a thick patch of bushes and stuff and find a ditch. See 2 dead teenage girls, one in a white dress and one with her pants pulled down. Eyes removed from both, mouth stitched up. Run to my dad crying my eyes out, but don't tell them what I saw. 3 a.m, wake up from some nightmare about whatever the hell. Lying there, decide to get up and look out the window at the corral. See a lady in white standing there, gown is mucky, dirty, and blowing in the wind. Stare at her, look away. 3:13 a.m, look back. She's looking right at me. Get scared, look at clock. Look at her again and she closed about 300 feet in about 2 seconds. She's really close and I can see her eyes are just black with a wide mouth, and black shit running out of it. Scream and hide in the bathroom. Fall asleep and am woken by my mother. Tell her I had a nightmare. I could fill an entire thread with shit relating to this, but on a side note, I recently went back to that ranch, and it's entirely abandoned. Just looking up the steep, ruined hill up made me severely ill and scared. We'll post some more stories. A scrawny, bony hand reaches over my door. All the way through my child years I had nightmares and saw the then what I called white woman in my nightmares every night. Literally told no one, we'll get back to that later. After some years my father lost his cushy job out there and we moved to a suburb. I thought that'd end the nightmares but it just gave birth to a whole new world of messed up. I'll tell it as it happened. B13. Finally moved to a real town near a real city. Hell yeah, time to make some friends. First kid I meet is a slow kid with 2 retarded brothers down the street. They were frigging cool though. Be playing some video games at my place while mom and dad worked late. Brother was out. 1 a.m. but homeschooled so no shits. Go to grab a drink, while downstairs, power goes out, was storming pretty hard. I'm deathly afraid of the dark since that night, start remembering everything but grab my Pepsi and run back up to friend. Walking in the hall, hear friend talking, figure he's on his phone. Go into the room real quietly, but as soon as I get close he snaps his head to me. Ask who he was talking to. A girl in white, she's really nice. Heart sinks and have to fight back tears. Begin shaking, friend asks me what's wrong. I'm just tired, I'm going to bed. Don't sleep that night. I'll skip to the interesting parts, the rest is just similar tidbits of him seeing her. Be 15 now, friend moved away, feeling really down. It's late and everyone is working late again, bro is out with his friends, all alone again. It's pitch black except for my nightlight in the hallway. Suddenly, an odor I never smelled since that afternoon, it's hard to describe, it's like if you leave a chicken or steak out in the sun too long, rotting flesh I guess. Get scared, see something white gleaming next to my light out of sight. Please no, please God no, I don't want to die. A scrawny, bony hand reaches over my door. Suddenly slam, my father's home and beyond pissed off, hits the liquor immediately. Arm immediately slides away, smell goes with it. Father cussing up a storm about the place smelling like shit, blah blah, kids wrecking the place. Finally fall asleep and wake up the next day. I feel very uneasy for the next few months. I swear I developed depression around this point aside from an abusive parent. Fast forward a few more days, just getting into drinking, wasted up on my father's vodka, feeling good. Out of nowhere, just suddenly get extremely depressed / pissed off and punch a hole in the wall. No idea why I did that, but dad's pissed and start screaming at me. Get into a dragged out argument and go to bed. Dad comes upstairs to administer my belting. Have my TV on, but shit reception so static over infomercials. Infomercial goes out and I hear a petite voice come from the speakers. 12 is all I can hear, don't pay mind to it since about to be beaten. Fast forward to 18, full-blown alcoholic and shit's about to kick up. It's January and late at night my mother comes to me. Anon, an officer is here to see you. Crap, what did I do now? Walk in the room nervous as shit and ask the officer what he wants. Are you Anon? Yeah, why? We found your father deceased in his apartment 2 nights ago. My mother divorced him and he lived a long way away. Officer gives me the number to the coroner who's been working late. Ask him approximate time of death. 12th of December. Cause of death was cardiac arrest in his sleep. Fast forward, take off work for bereavement to go and clean his shit up. Talking to the coroner and I mention I'm interested in the line of work, he mentions all the things that go bump in the night. I see you know what I mean with your little friend there. What? Never mind me. Sign papers, pay for dad's nice new urn, go back home. Hit a rough spot with bills, and on leave from work for an injury, so everyone is pulling overtime, so that means absolute loneliness for 14 hours a day. Get a bit tipsy, listening to music, feeling a level of depression I never felt before. Contemplating offing myself, think of dad and all the ways I didn't beat his ass before he died. Sort of drifting off, music stops, all the lights are off. Tap tap. At the window, look over. Lo behold, a face not even a plastic surgeon could create. Wrinkly, pale face, black eyes and that familiar mouth. Tactically shit pants and grab my gun and run into the restroom. Forgot liquor, being half inebriated and smart, I go out to get my bottle. Open the door slowly, all clear. Grab my shit, realize this is just my mind playing tricks on me. Wet, slap sound from the kitchen. What? Investigate, nothing. Walking back to my room and glance in the living room. Yep, she's there. Sprint to my bedroom. Slam the door and lock it. Shaking so bad I can't even hold my alcohol anymore. I black out and wake up the next morning soaked in piss. I clean up and do something I have never done, went to church and spoke to a priest about this crap, ended up breaking down in the church in tears. Priest tells me it sounds like a poltergeist, asks me some things, like if things move on their own, things get misplaced, if I'd been involved with any rituals, etc. Tell him everything. While everyone is at work, he comes and blesses the house on my request. Days go by, and things are okay. Then that smell. I can go on all night about this shit, but it'd get repetitive fast. If anyone has any idea how I can be rid of this thing, some tips would be cool. This reminds me of something, not paranormal at all, but scares me to think how long it could have went on without us knowing. Live in town with mother and siblings, parents are divorced. Someone lends their car to my mother for the winter. She's only used to driving an automatic. Stalls the car a lot, while pulling out of the driveway, going up hills, we joke about it a ton. One day she gets a text from some random number. I think it's cute when you stall your car, smiley face. She freaks out on them via text, never replied. Never hear about it again. Spooked me.